Hey mates, ever live in jolly old England? Well, Rodney and I have, and we're going to talk about some of our adventures while we were stationed there in the Air Force.
And then too, based on when we left, uh, I can't remember if we left Gatwick or if we left. I'm sure we left Lincoln Heath, but it was
hmm
dark when we left. So consequently, when we got to DFW, it's in the morning in that Dallas
Yeah.
traffic. I'm like, hell no, I'm not finna get out there. Tired as I am. Like, oh no, boy, she was hard down, man. I think if she had been pregnant, she might have whooped my butt. It was hot. I was like, no, we finna get up here one more time.
Ugh.
Thank God it was a nice sunny day and it wasn't a bunch of, you know, up and down, because she probably would have threw up
Oh
all over the
yeah,
place
yeah, I'd imagine
when
so.
you're pregnant and stuff.
Yeah, well, that's what happened to
I,
me when I got to England, got to Heathrow, and they had a bus that went from Heathrow to Bentwaters, and I got on the bus, and I don't know what it was, but I got sick, and
mm,
I think some of what it was how the roads were in England, and he had to
yeah.
coming out of Heathrow. There was a couple of like sharp turns, and he was making those sharp turns on that bus. The only thing that
hmm
saved us was, in England they had those big coaches, they call them the big, and it
Right.
had a bathroom in it. I spent about
hmm
85% of the trip to Bentwaters in that bathroom, and I would come out of the bathroom and go in the bathroom, throw up, come back out of the bathroom, and sit in the very first seat by the bathroom, and then probably
hmm
10 minutes later I'd go back and throw up again. I don't know if it was something I ate or whatever. I think it was just the motion of that bus just didn't sit well
Yeah.
with me,
Yeah.
and finally, I remember we finally got there, and as soon as we got to the base, I went and got me a soda, a 7 Up, and drank that, and it settled my stomach down a little bit too. And I told Mary when I called back home, I said, "You ain't gonna believe this." I said, "I just wonder what we would have done if that bus hadn't had a toilet on it. He would have had to stop that bus
hmm
about every 10 minutes and let me throw up, get off and throw up." I would just, I guess as they say, the Lord looks out for babies and food. I guess that's what it was, because I just can't imagine what would have happened if they didn't have a toilet on that bus.
I know
But
it, man.
yeah, that was my introduction to jolly old
To
England.
England. Yeah. Mine was my old supervisor picked me up at Heathrow. And he was kind of like a practical joker type. And so we're riding down A
hmm
whatever, heading north. He said, "Hey, man, you hungry?" I said, "Well, yeah, I could eat something, man. I hadn't had nothing since that last meal." He said, "Well, how about a burger?" I said, "Sure, we can get a burger." We stopped at Wimpy's. Okay. They had plenty of things about Popeye. 'Cause everybody's like, "Have you ever heard of Popeye?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, that's where it was invented. What are you talking about?" But I began to wonder, maybe it was invented from over there. They got a Wimpy's chain, and all that. But anyway, long story short, we get out and go in Wimpy's. I'm already like, something don't smell right in here. Turned out it was that damn
Yeah.
beef, man. And so I'm still not putting it all together, 'cause, for the most part, for anybody that ain't been to England, they think it's just like being over here.
Nah, it's not.
Nah,
No, no, no.
nah, nah. Man, I took the first bite and I was like, you kind of, because he was like, it's on me, I'll buy it, and I'm like, you don't want to be, like you're ungrateful and shit. So I'm like, so I noticed he was kind of
Yeah.
snickering. Man, I tried to take another bite of that damn thing. I spit that shit out. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man. Well, he just cried it up. Yeah, everybody I pick up down here, I bring him to Wimpy's because I know it's gonna be a culture shock. But I'm like, you ain't lying, boy, because that was the nastiest
Yeah.
beef. I mean, and it smelled like
Hmm.
fish.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh my God. Hell, if I didn't go to Lake and Heath, I didn't eat a hamburger, man.
Yeah.
Well, I take that lie back. After we were there for about a year, McDonald's built uh, up in
Hmm.
Lincoln. They built a McDonald's up there, and their selling point was that they bring their own
Yeah.
beef with them. So it was just like eating the hamburgers from here. So that's when I had the last burger uh, when I was there. But yeah, that Wimpy's was something else.
Yeah. That's what happened to us. When we first got there. Mary went out and bought some some beef. Matter of fact, I think she bought it because back down in the village we lived in, they had uh, uh, they had like a green grocer, but they also had a meat truck that came through the neighborhood. You could buy meat off the
Yeah,
truck,
yeah,
And
yeah.
she bought something. I got a roast or something, man. She put that thing in the oven and started cooking that. Oh man, that smell went through the house. I said, no, man,
Yeah, man.
I can't eat that. She said, no, I can't either. So we ended up,
Hmm.
the commissary had frozen beef because obviously you couldn't get fresh beef there, but they would ship, frozen beef over. And she ended from
Oh yeah,
America, from the States, and she ended
yeah,
up going.
yeah.
She
We
ended up
did too.
going to,
Everybody after that mad
yeah,
cow thing, they started shipping it
yeah,
to everybody. You had an allotment
right.
amount.
So we started getting it
Hmm.
on uh, on the base, and it was funny. They did the same thing with a McDonald's down in this town called Ipswich. They had a McDonald's down there, and we went down and after they opened up. So you know how we are at places, fast food. I mean that's what is considered fast food. So we go down,
Hmm.
and of course, being the new thing in town and all, it was busy and everything. And we finally got up to the line and ordered. We looking around, there ain't nowhere to sit, and the locals were like using it as a community, like they were at the pub. Man, they were sitting around talking and caring. And we're like, you're supposed to eat and get up and leave.
Get
You
up.
don't stay
Yeah.
around talking. And we couldn't. And this was one that had an upstairs and downstairs. I mean, it was a
Hmm.
2-level McDonald's. And we finally ended up waiting around, and some people got up, and we went and got their seat. And this guy was, more Americans down there. They said, so that's the way the locals are. They look at it as a social gathering kind of thing. They'll sit here, they'll talk, they'll eat, they'll talk, and they'll be sitting here forever. I said, yeah, I see that now.
Hmm.
I see that now. But yeah, that's the way it
Hmm.
was there when they opened that McDonald's, and then they were open for a little while, and I guess and they try to blame it on the Americans that were going down. I don't know how you could do that, but they were starting to have a problem with litter. And of course, the litter was McDonald wrappers and McDonald cups and stuff like that, and they
Hmm.
were trying to blame that on the Americans coming down here. I said, no, wait a minute. Why would we come?
Ain't that
Why would
fair?
we come down here to eat just the litter? We don't do that back home. Yeah, and they had
Exactly.
a big to do about that. They were going to close the McDonald's down if they continue to have the litter problems they were having. And yeah, it was the
It
locals
was
doing
it
that.
was
Yeah,
their
it was the
damn
locals
people.
doing it. Going down there.
Yeah,
They're the ones that
yeah.
was.
But yeah, we just glad to have a piece of America to eat. Shit, we wasn't gonna do nothing to close it down.
Yeah, and they actually put a Burger King on the base after that. They had a Burger King, and it was funny.
Hmm.
There was some of the folks on base that brought their American cars over there, and of course the Burger King was a drive-through, and it was made for British spec drive-through. So you had people going in
Right.
there with American cars, and of course the drivers on the other side, and and they and it was you see them to reach all the way across the car to get to the drive-through window. And we used to always
Yeah.
say, see, that's what happens when you bring them American cars over here. They were trying to
That's
reach
it.
through all the way across to get to the drive-through window because they're driving on the opposite side.
Yeah. I thought you were gonna say they had to get out and walk around to the other
No, no,
side to get
they
this
just
stuff.
reach
Yeah.
over. They reach over far enough to get their bag when they put
Yeah.
it out there to them. So yeah, did y'all have a British spec car while y'all were there?
No, I took my
Oh,
blue
you did.
Honda
Okay,
over there.
okay, that's right. You did. That's right.
Yeah.
I remember that now. We
Yeah.
we actually
Hmm.
took ours too. We had a Olds Cutlass Sierra that we had bought. Had
Hmm.
only had bought
Hmm.
it. I don't think we had that car 4 months when we went to England, and we took it over there.
Hmm.
And I went ahead and bought me British spec, just a little clunker. It was on the sales lot at Bentwater. I bought it there, and then after Marion came over with the girls, we kept it for a while, and then I said, yeah, we'll go ahead and just get a British spec car. So we sold it to a uh, some friends of ours that were coming back stateside. They bought it from us, and we got a Toyota Corolla that was British spec. So we had two British spec cars for the rest of the time we were over there. Yeah, but all right,
Hmm.
you did bring that. Y'all did have that Honda. I remember that now.
Yeah, yeah, we took it over because I actually when we went over there, I think I'd only had it about a year and a half, maybe two, because hell, I bought it in mid '82, and we were over there in '84. Yeah, yeah. So I took it over there, and British dude tried to screw it up. He had stripped the lug nuts on it, boy. I tell you. And I kept noticing the dude was he's supposed to be like the dealership for Honda
Hmm.
over there. And I kept noticing he had kind of like a shitty attitude. So hell, I gave it back to him. And the guy that ran the place, he was cool, but the guy he had working on it was the one that like he had an
Hmm.
attitude. And I didn't realize it till after I went to New Orleans to pick it up from port. When we came back, and they were looking at it or doing something. Anyway, they took the tires off of it and said, your lug nuts are stripped and all that. I had to get that fixed before we drove it back, you know, to pick up Rosalind. Then.
Yeah, I know going over, we had the issue of the catalytic converter because
Mm-hmm.
they only
Yeah,
had
we got
leaded
that.
gas in England. That well, actually, only they you could get unleaded at certain places, but primarily they had leaded gas. And I went to the dealer to talk about getting the catalytic converter taken off, and he said, "You take the catalytic converter off, you void your warranty." And I'm like, well, what are we gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
We can't, run leaded gas through it. And he said, well, you ain't got much of a choice. So we took it
Mm-hmm.
over there, and that was another, sort of reason we went ahead and got it and sold it while we got over there because there was, issue with the gas and that kind of stuff. So I remember that
Mm-hmm.
going on, but just another kind of thing you deal with in the military that probably most people never would even think about doing. Taking a car.
Yeah.
I thought about that when you talk about we're going down to New Orleans. We had to take ours to South Carolina. So I remember me and Mark drove it to South Carolina, and they we stayed in this hotel, and the hotel had uh, a deal with a company that would come get it from the hotel and take it through like inspection and everything at the port.
Mm-hmm.
So we
Mm-hmm.
I bought that service. So we went to the hotel. They came and got it and took it through the inspection process so it could go to be shipped out. And when it got there, had a flat tire. You talk about your lug nut. It had a flat tire on it, and I looked on it. There was
Yeah.
a big nail in there. All the seats in the back seats were ripped out. I guess the customs people take the seats out to make sure you ain't trying to bring any kind of contraband in. And so I'm
Mm-hmm.
getting there, and I got a flat tire, and I ain't been there that long. I mean, a couple of months at that time, and trying to figure out how I'm gonna get the tire repaired to get to base. And the guy
Mm-hmm.
told me, he said, there's a a garage right around the corner. They'll take care. So I took the tire. I couldn't drive the car. I had to take the tire off and roll it over there. And the guy fixed the tire for me. He said, yeah, mate, this is your problem. This big, huge, huge
Right.
nail he pulled out of the tire, and he fixed it for me. And I was going back, and that was the first time that I had uh, driven an American spec car there. I already had the British spec car, and then I'm driving an American
Mm-hmm.
spec car. And of course, with being on the opposite side, if you get out the pass, you can't see till you're all the way in the other
Yeah.
lane, kind of thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
And in London, of all things,
hmm
is because yeah, that's my first driving experience over there with an American spec car was
oh,
in
really?
London. I'm like,
See, the ours came in this town
yes.
called Felixstowe, which is down on
Oh,
the
is that
coast
right?
from
Felixstowe.
from
Yeah,
from
yeah,
Ipswich. So yeah, I
yeah,
avoid,
yeah.
and man, I when we went to pick the girls up, somebody said, Mickey, are you gonna drive down to Heathrow to pick them up? I said, hell no, I ain't driving down to Heathrow to pick them up. I barely can drive around here. I
Yeah.
rented a little taxi service that they had on Bentwater, which I mean they do routinely. Yeah, they did. That's why they were there. So I
Yeah.
rented them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I couldn't imagine driving. And first time, shh, no.
Bruh, you talking about my butt cheeks were so tight, boy. I'm on the wrong side of the road, going through these
Right.
roundabouts that look like a damn, you know, I was tripping, man. But I was like, Lord, let me get out of here and get back on one of them 845s or whatever it was. I might be all right. And once I did that, I said, if I can drive in London on the wrong side, I can
Anyway,
drive anywhere. Yeah, I tell you, that was my first driving experience, man. Sure
I
enough.
see. Mine was sort of like that, but in a lot smaller area down in Ipswich Town. When I bought the British back car out on base, the guy that sold it worked on base, but he lived downtown, and he
Hmm.
said, can you give me a ride home? Because I'm selling you my car. And I said, yeah. I said, where you live? I live down in Ipswich Town. I said, okay. I said, I've never driven, over here before. I said, I know, you had to go through that driving course to get a car. So I said, I
Right.
know about, the roundabouts and things. I said, but I've never driven through any of them. And I said, I was told that they have what they call double roundabouts down in Ipswich Town. And he said, yeah, they have double roundabouts down there. And you know how the courtesy is in roundabouts. You go and then somebody else goes kind of thing. And he said, he said, tell your mate, get on the ass of the car in front of you, just go right on through with them. I said, okay. And that's exactly
That's
what I did.
that's about the
I got
size.
behind the
Yeah.
car in front of me when he went through that double roundabout. I was right behind. And I said, I know there was people saying, wait a minute, you supposed to wait and let me go next. No, no.
Yeah.
When he went, I went.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. Boy, people just don't know. But you know what? One of the most is confusing as hell. We got two roundabouts right here in where I live, and but one of the things about it, once you get the hack of it, it
It
makes
makes
sense.
sense. I tell people that all the time. It
Yeah,
eliminates the need for stop lights and stop signs. It makes plenty of sense.
yeah,
We got one at the mall that they have in that little town called Smyrna. At that mall, they
mhm,
have two roundabouts. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It makes sense when you get the hack of it, and uh, hell, I got right in there with him. I let the car go ahead of me, and I shoot right behind him, and get on. If I need to go around to the other side, I get a little on the inside and work my way
Hmm.
out. Man, it
It
makes
it
sense when
does.
you
And I
do
tell
it.
people too,
It looks like
it does.
chaos, but
But
mhm,
I tell people too, if the good thing about it too, if you're somewhere and you're not sure where to go get off, you just keep going around in circles. You
keep
just
going
keep going till
around
you
in
figure
circles.
it
That's
out.
right.
You ain't got to make a wrong
Yeah,
turn. Just keep going around the circles till you figure out which one you need to take.
that's right. Cause we take the wrong exit over here. We go
About to
30
get
miles, so we
turn
can
around
turn
and come
around and
back.
come
Yeah.
back.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
just keep going in circles. You figure it out, and then you take the one that you need to take. So yeah, they
Yeah,
make sense. They do. They do make sense.
they do.
Uh,
Once you get the
yeah,
hang of it, man, you fall right in,
yeah,
man.
and that's what you got to do. You got to. There was two things that my sponsor told me when I got to Bentwater. That two things you needed to know right front. You need to know how to use a roundabout because you're gonna run into, and there were two or three between Ipswich Town and the base. And he said, and you got to learn that if you don't go out when it's raining, you ain't gonna never do nothing over here. So don't be.
Well, yeah,
He said,
yeah,
so when you look around and see that it's a rainy day, and you say, well, I ain't gonna go do it today. Well, you got to go do it today because there's gonna be a lot of them rainy days over there.
you
And
ain't lying.
I used to tell Mary when our babysitters that we keep in contact with today, she'd
Hmm.
bundle the girls up and take them because, like I said, she would go to the green grocer as they call it, or to the post office store every day. I mean,
Hmm.
practically every day she would go there to pick up, sort of fresh vegetables and things to cook. And a lot of them
Yeah,
days, like it was rainy, misty days over there, and I'm like, man, she's taking the girls out, and man, I said, Mickey, She goes every day. She bundles them up. She got that little pram, as they call
Mm-hmm.
them, the little stroller
Mm-hmm.
with the little
Yep.
thing over the top of it and everything. And I just, after a while, I just got used to it because that wet cold is a cold cold. And I'm
Yes, it
like,
is.
she shouldn't be taking the girls out in that. And man said, well, if you don't take them out in that, you ain't going nowhere. So I learned
You
that quickly.
doggone right.
You gotta go out when the weather ain't ideal, and you gotta learn how to drive around roundabouts.
That's right. Well, they're at a higher longitude and latitude than we are too, so it's colder
Mm-hmm.
up there in those deals, along with that wet. But yeah, that's when we first moved back here and moved into our place over there. Uh, People used to look at us like we were crazy because as long as it wasn't lightning or nothing outside, because he was so used to playing in the rain because he had
Yeah,
no choice.
yeah.
And so I pulled up in me a little lawn chair and sit there in the garage. He had his
Well,
little
it's on.
willies
Yeah.
on. Yeah. He running down there splashing water. Maybe people pass by looking like, what the hell is he doing with that kid out there? I'm like, shit, that's how he been playing the last three
Yep.
years. If he had to wait for a nice day to go out and play, he would have never went out to play.
Yeah, that's the way it
You know,
was with us. But it took me a little getting used to. I just, like I said, just wasn't used to that. But she would take them out every day. She'd take them out, bundle them up, and put them in that little pram, and take them right to the greengrocer every day. Sure would.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I guess that's where they got that thing about because the little white kids over there, they'd be bundled up, their little cheeks be
Red.
red, nose be red. I'm like, damn, this ain't like no cartoon over there. This is
Yeah.
real life. The kids be flushes big time, man.
Yes, they would. I remember that too. They would definitely do that. But like I say,
Mhm.
it was a good time. But like you said, it's not America. They speak the same
No,
language a bit, but it's not America. You got to realize you're in that country, and you gotta
that's right.
adapt. The only people that I had a problem with was the people coming from the states that try to act like after they've been there a day or two that they were British.
Yeah,
Trying to get the accent
yeah,
down and all the little
man.
acronyms and stuff that they use. I'm like, man, you from Georgia. You ain't from you ain't from
I'm
England.
telling you.
Try,
I'm telling. They didn't have enough nerve to try to go back to the
yeah,
states with that
yeah.
crap.
I'm like, come on
Oh
now.
man, come on. Yeah, it's something else. I done seen a few of those. Yes, sir. We had one girl. Okay, she was her mama had married. She was a British girl. Her mama was British, so some GI went over there and married her, and she brought her back over here and was raising her. So when she got up, she joined the Air Force, right? Kay had been in the United States about 20 years, and then she was I forget how old she was. Anyway, she in here still talking like she's down in London somewhere. I said, "You haven't been in the United States long enough. You should have dropped that." But that was her little attention
Yeah.
getter, because she was one of them. She would always make sure she talked loud enough for people to hear her. I'm like, boy, give me a break.
Yeah.
Man, that's your calling card.
Well, that's my way my aunt is. She's been in the States probably 40 years now. Got just a thicker
Hmm.
British accent as the day she left London. Yep.
Is that right?
Matter of fact, there was a lady that worked at the post office. They had a little post office in this pharmacy here. I went in there one day and to mail something, and she had a very thick British accent, and she said the same thing. She'd been stateside for I forgot how many years, but it was almost like
Hmm.
they just didn't want to give it up. And it
Yeah,
was definitely
yeah.
attention to get it because as soon as they start speaking, the first thing you say to yourself is, well, they ain't from here. I mean, we're in Tennessee. That ain't that Southern drawl by any
Yeah,
means. So it
exactly.
definitely was an attention getter, that's for sure.
Yeah, man, that was her hook. Eh, no matter how the conversation was going, she'd open her mouth loud enough for people to hear, and all the heads would turn. Oh, and then the proverbial, "Where
Yeah,
are you
where you
from?"
from?
I'm like, get
Yeah,
here.
where are you from?
Yeah, yeah, man. So she was something else, man. But I guess some people do. It's a way of hanging on to their stuff, I guess. But uh, I know when Rosalind was getting some treatment there, every time she went to the hospital, they would check her in, and this little lady down there, she was the nicest woman. I know I had seen her somewhere before. You know how you can see somebody and like I done seen her somewhere before. But she was like a tall, slender, uh, white woman with just blonde. I don't know if it was out of a bottle or, but her hair was white as
Hmm.
snow. But she was young, and the more she talked, when you would listen to her, 'cause I know I had to go down there on a few occasions. Rosalind was in the back and talk to her, and she was telling me about her husband, and her husband was a GI, a brother, which I could kind of tell from. She still had like an accent, but she still had, you know how when they talk, when they've been around
Right.
us, it's like you know. So she was from Germany, so I could hear some of the German uh,
Hmm.
aspects of the accent, and then again, the being around black folk kind of thing, But she was the nicest woman, to Rosalind and everything. But I guess sometimes you want to hang on to a little of where you come from if you ain't been
Yeah,
there
yeah, I guess so too.
in a while.
I could
Mhm.
understand that because, like I say, there's some of them that do that. I mean, they keep the and I mean, I guess you could try to adapt. I mean, I you even see that with Americans from the north that come
Yeah,
down south, kind of thing. You could tell,
yeah,
like people in Boston and those kind of places, you could tell very quickly that there's somewhere from the northeast or whatever, and they don't a lot of
hmm
time they don't lose their accent, when they come
yeah.
down south.
Exactly
So
right.
I guess it's the
Exactly right.
same kind of situation. Hey Rodney, we gotta let the folks go again today, man. I want to say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's to everybody out there, and hopefully 2022 more people will be listening to old fools talking old school. What do you think, Rodney?
Oh yeah, they need to come here and get some entertainment if you don't do nothing but laugh. But
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
uh, yeah, happy New Year to all, and then hope it's prosperous and blessed for all of you. So take it easy.
All right, as always, this is Mickey G.
I'm Rodney T.
Peace.